पत्नी स्वयं पार्वती, नंदी कार्तिक गणपति के सहित केदारनाथ प्रभु केदार गिरि पे सदा ही रहते, करते सदा मंगलम। मंगलम भगवान विष्णु, मंगलम गरुड़ध्वज, मंगलम पार्वती नाथ, सर्वमंगल मंगलम।
हम सब जानते हैं कि करेला हमारी सेहत के लिए बहुत फायदेमंद है, लेकिन इसके कड़वेपन की वजह से हम नहीं खा पाते। पर अब यूके में फ्रेश करेले से तैयार किए गए कैरेंशिया करेला कैप्सूल्स मार्केट में अवेलेबल हैं। इनमें कोई केमिकल्स, एडिटिव्स, डेयरी प्रोडक्ट्स और सॉल्ट नहीं है। कैरेंशिया करेला कैप्सूल्स खाइए और खुद को तंदुरुस्त बनाइए। फॉर ट्रेड इंक्वायरीज कॉल मल्टीलिंक्स हेल्थ केयर प्रोडक्ट्स ऑन 07931249251।
हेलो, यूके, यूरोप और अमेरिका के प्रिय दर्शकों, लेट अस टॉक हिंदुइज्म में MATV के माध्यम से आपका स्वागत है। मैं हूं आपका प्रेजेंटर ब्रिजमोहन गुप्ता और मेरे दाएं ओर हिंदू धर्म के जो बहुत महान वक्ता हैं डॉक्टर तानाजी आचार्य, और जो आपके प्रश्नों के उत्तर बड़ी सरलता से भी देते हैं। आज हमारे बीच में एक बहुत महान हस्ती आए हैं, पधारे हैं, जिनके बारे में मैं कुछ क्षणों में आपसे वार्तालाप करूंगा। आपसे मेरी प्रार्थना है कि आप जगत जननी भगवती माँ के चरणों में ध्यान लगाइए, अपना आसन ग्रहण कीजिए। और ताना जी, आपसे मेरी विनती है कि आज का कार्यक्रम वेद मंत्रों से आरंभ करें, प्लीज।
नमस्ते। ओम चित्रं देवानां मुदगादनीकं चक्षुर्मित्रस्य वरुणस्य आग्नेः आप्राद्यावा पृथिवी अंतरिक्षं सूर्य आत्मा जगतस्तस्थुश्च स्वाहा। प्राणी और जड़ जगत का जो आत्मा है, सूर्य और अन्य सब लोगों को बनाकर धारण और रक्षण करने वाला है, जो राग द्वेष रहित मनुष्य तथा अद्भुत स्वरूप विद्वानों के हृदय में सदा प्रकाशित रहता है, जो सकल मनुष्यों के सब दुख नाश करने के लिए परम उत्तम बल है, वह परमेश्वर हमारे हृदयों में यथावत प्रकाशित रहे। Sorry. May we have the vision of the Lord, who is the soul of entire universe and is pervading all worldly objects and planets and impels them all. He helps those who are free from all kinds of jealousy and hatred, are treading the path of righteousness and are ever progressing. He is ever shining in the hearts of enlightened who possesses divine qualities. Om तच्चक्षुर्देवहितं पुरस्ताच्छुक्रमुच्चरत् पश्येम शरदशतं जीवेम शरदशतं शृणुयाम शरदशतं प्रब्रवाम शरदशतं अदीनहस्याम शरदशतं भूयश्च शरदशतात्। जो ब्रह्म हम सब का दृष्टा, धार्मिक विद्वानों का परम हितकारक तथा सृष्टि के पूर्व, पश्चात और मध्य में सत्य स्वरूप से वर्तमान रहता है और सब जगत का करने वाला, उसी ब्रह्म को हम लोग 100 वर्ष पर्यंत देखे, जीवे, सुने, उसी ब्रह्म का उपदेश करे और उसकी कृपा से किसी के अधीन न रहे। उसी परमेश्वर की आज्ञा पालन और कृपा से 100 वर्षों से उपरांत भी हम लोग देखें, जीवें और सुने, सुनावे और स्वतंत्र रहें, अर्थात आरोग्य, शरीर, दृढ़ इंद्रिय, शुद्ध मन और आनंद सहित हमारा आत्मा सदा रहे। The omnipotent Om, who is the benefactor of righteous and learned persons and observing all at every moment, was pious even before the creation. He is and will remain omnipresent, omniscient and omnipotent even after annihilation of the world. May we see him, hear him and see his virtues and pray to him only to live in this world for 100 years and even more without suffering any humiliation or being dependent on anyone. तो ये आज के यजुर्वेद के 2 मंत्रों से प्रार्थना है।
बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद आचार्य जी आपका। तो प्रिय दर्शकों, जैसा कि मैंने आपसे शुरू में वादा किया था कि आज हमारे बीच में एक ऐसे महान परंतु यंग अतिथि पधारे हैं जो मुझे बड़े आदर से अंकल कहते हैं। आपको जब मैं उनका नाम बताऊंगा तो आप खुशी से गदगद कर उठे, क्योंकि वो एक ऐसी हस्ती हैं जो कि हम सब के लिए एक प्रेरणा का स्रोत हैं। यंग होते हुए उन्होंने अपने जीवन में जो कुछ भी अचीव किया है वो मिरेकल से कम नहीं है। एक फिर कहूँगा कि सीमा जी मल्होत्रा हमारे एक बहुत ही आदरणीय अतिथि हैं आज इस मंच पे, बहुत दिनों के बाद, और हमें बड़ी खुशी हो रही है आपका स्वागत करते हैं।
Thank you.
सीमा जी, she was elected, member of from the Labour Party and the Cooperative Union, member of Parliament for the Feldham and Heston in December 2011. She was re-elected in 2015 and 2017 with enhanced majority. She is a member of the very influential Select Committee on exiting the European Union. She is co-chair of all-party parliamentary group on assistive technology. Seema ji served as a shadow chief secretary. When you will look at her, she is so young but full of energy, source of inspiration to all of us, to people like me, my generation, not only the young people. And that is why we are proud of her. She has served as a shadow chief secretary to the Treasury. That is a joke, From 2014 to 2015, she served as a shadow Home Office Minister for preventing violence against women and girls. She has also been an opposition whip and parliamentary private secretary to Right Honourable Whit Cooper MP. Prior to entering Parliament, Seema ji was a freelance business and public service advisor working with the game and film industry. She has also worked with the Pricewater and as in the strategy system development. She has been the founder, president of Fabian Women's Network and a former chair of the Fabian Society. We welcome you.
Thank you.
Seema ji.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to join.
And now, this is our job to dig from you some of the intricate and difficult questions which you have been answering all over and everywhere. Shall we start?
Thank you.
Seema ji, it has been a year since the last general election. What is your participation, perspective on current situation in the British politics?
The British politics now is very different to how we've known it, I think, in our lifetime.
Yeah.
And this is a...
In my lifetime.
In your
it has
lifetime,
been a lot.
Charity's lifetime,
Yes.
it is unusual time in British politics.
Yeah.
And the way to understand it is that the rules are now being written every day, new rules.
I know.
So 2 weeks ago, I was in the voting lobby with Kenneth Clarke. Kenneth Clarke is former Chancellor with the Conservatives.
Yesterday, yes.
And a leading voice now in the House of Commons on Brexit, against the government, his own government.
Yeah.
And a very experienced voice. He's now the leader of the House because he is the longest standing serving member of Parliament now. And we were discussing how things are so different. A year ago, Theresa May, she hoped that she would be having enhanced majority in the election. She called it for that purpose.
Yeah.
In fact, the Tories lost 13 seats.
Yeah.
Labour gained 30 seats.
Yeah.
And we saw a return to two-party politics in this country. This has defined much of how Parliament is. And the battle now between the Conservatives and Labour on what is right for our country is now more divided between the two than perhaps in the last 2 or 3 parliaments. On Brexit, I've been on the select committee.
Yeah.
Now, Brexit is changing politics in our country as well, because increasingly we are seeing cross-party working.
Yeah.
So much of what we do on the select committee, the largest select committee in the House of Commons, we hear evidence maybe twice a week. And we have to have also the Secretary of State come and give evidence to us on the progress the government is making on Brexit. What has been interesting from that select committee, and for me, I think some of the most important work I've done in Parliament, I led on the campaign for the government to publish the economic impact assessments.
Right.
If we're going to leave the European Union, then at least tell the country the truth, how this is going to affect our food industry, our airline industry, our health service, our medicines, medicines development, pharmaceuticals as well.
Yeah.
How it's going to affect even our transportation. Around my constituency, Heathrow Airport, near there, transportation logistics is a very big part.
Yeah.
Transporting all the goods. Heathrow is the largest port in the country, freight port in the country.
Yeah.
We don't think that, but so many of our goods, our food, many other things come into our country from Heathrow. And it has to go somewhere. It has to go fast. It has to go cheaply. Has to go correctly.
Absolutely.
So this whole industries are around this. Any delay to those, any customs delays, any delays on businesses being able to export products into the European Union, almost half of our trade, billions, over nearly 300 billion in our trade goes to the European Union.
Yeah.
So in this, the way we are going to be impacted by Brexit, tell the country the truth. This, the Freedom of Information request I had started led to the big debates in Parliament, and now ongoing we're asking this impact. And many other matters that we have had. This is Parliament that's different to any other. But on top of that, this year we have celebrated the 70th anniversary of the National Health Service,
Yeah.
which has been really Labour's best achievement. And now I don't think any government will have the public will to remove it. But still we debate its funding, the waiting times, the ambulance delays we have seen across the country, many other things that people are telling me from within the country. So my final point on this 1 year is this is a parliament that is like no other. And increasingly we will want to hear people's voices in the debate in this country, because some of the big questions about our future, maybe Parliament alone will not be able to answer. And that's why I reach out, not just my constituency, I think our Indian community, wider Asian community, everybody must be, I think, involved in the direction of our country, because it is a very important time, the changes we are going through.
What do you think it will, the Asian community especially, because I am Asian, so I will think about me first, will be impacted, you know, whatever is going on in Brexit, because we had 54 point something, you know, in favor of it, which was not all that big, but now after that, we are realizing that we were going the wrong way. So what do you think will happen, you know, while you are going to have, you know, agreement with the
European.
Union, you know, the 28 countries?
I am concerned about our citizenship rights.
Yeah.
I'm concerned about our right to travel. I'm concerned about our economy. So many Indians here, many Asians as well, we are similar to how my parents came. We are involved in many ways in business. And
Yeah.
business that has any international links, particularly anything with the European Union, many of the Indian businesses I know, they maybe have people coming to work sometimes, or they sell goods in other countries.
Yeah.
And these could get harder. I think this could affect people's businesses as well, how successful they may be. And we don't know how it's going to be the case for much other industry across our country. Also our employment. Now, if you think about even car manufacturing, worth 18 billion in exports to the European Union. Jaguar Land Rover, owned by Indians.
Yeah, yeah.
So many Indian companies, Tata, others,
yeah.
how they are going to potentially see change. The question is, will they still believe in Britain is the right place to be investing? If it's going to be more costly
Yeah.
in any way to trade with our European partners, will some of these, whether it's in car manufacturing or other sectors, move jobs
Yeah.
over to Europe, because it's easier to trade with 27 countries.
Yeah.
Britain is the exception. But we are also seeing the difficulties Indian students are facing coming to study in the
Yeah,
UK.
yeah.
A big issue the Indian High Commission has raised, I have raised, even the Conservative ministers have raised. But they have raised them outside
Okay.
Parliament, in dinners,
Yeah.
talking to Indian industry
Yeah.
and Indian citizens, but they haven't raised it in Parliament with their own Prime Minister. Now, this, I believe, is going to catch up with the Prime Minister, because when we look at, I think a topic we'll discuss, India and Britain post-Brexit,
Yeah.
look what India is also saying and what students also feel. If you can't come to study and be welcomed,
Yeah.
and you can't maybe work for a little while after, then if you want to set up business afterwards, as many students then are entrepreneurs, will get involved in IT, other sectors, then you won't be doing it in Britain.
Yeah.
We should be a welcoming climate for people who are wanting to develop our economy and our links with other countries that are important to us culturally and economically. But this country under Theresa May has adopted what we call a hostile environment. And when I look at my casework, I've had 300 immigration casework in the last year, almost one a day. Now, many of those people, they are from the Asian subcontinent.
Right.
Whether that's around delays to entrepreneurship visas or leave to remain or maybe the right to study or under the 3225, caught under that immigration legislation because of tax return issues, or TOEIC and not treated fairly under the English tests. Now, these are things that have disproportionately affected our communities, which we are raising in Parliament. I do not believe you can have one attitude to one part of the Indian community. We are a whole society, a whole culture, and you've got to treat countries and people fairly. So I am concerned what the impact could be. And I'll say this last point. For example, our British passport is a European Union passport also.
Yeah.
And coming out of the European Union will be a loss of rights for every person with any British passport, a loss of rights. And even, for example, we don't realize that you could be in any country in the world with a European Union passport. Any European country's embassy would have the responsibility to look after you if you are in trouble. That will no longer be the case. So many rights, health rights, education rights, travel rights, work rights are set to be taken away. And for many Indian citizens maybe living in other European countries or Indian citizens living here, you know, many of these things will impact in different ways.
Now, from what you have just said, do you think there is a possibility of another general election? And if it is, Labour will win?
I think there could be another general election. We don't know when. My view is it could be this autumn. Maybe more likely it will be next spring. And I think Labour will win. I think Labour will win for two reasons. Firstly, the Conservative government are showing that they cannot run their own party, let alone run this country in terms of what we need. Now, this isn't me just being partisan for the sake of it. It is people who support the Conservative Party normally are saying this. And that, to me, when we look at our poverty, the need to make sure children are getting good education, to challenges our health services facing, you know, even trying to deal with antisocial behaviour in our constituencies. You know, these Conservatives, they've got their eye off the ball. They are focused only on their own survival in their own party. Secondly, I think Labour has an agenda that is right for our country. And this is one where Jeremy Corbyn, in the last election, won the confidence of many across the country. We gained 30 seats. And I had an increased majority to 16,000, the highest majority we've had. Now, the reason why is because we had an agenda that is focused on progress for our country, on fairness, on treating all equally. That attitude that is an open attitude, that tackles racism, that values diversity, that recognizes diversity in our country, is vital for having the strong trade links as well with other parts of the world. So if you want other countries to respect you, you should respect every citizen as equal in our country. Those two reasons, a positive agenda for Labour and a government unable to deliver and unable to even manage its own party. That's why I think people will say, let's have a change when it comes to the election.
Yeah, that is true. But as you said, that you are on the Brexit Select Committee. Does the government have a right plan for Brexit? Do you think so?
I personally don't believe so. And this is why they're in such a mess. You know, 2 years ago, Theresa May, she could have built consensus in Parliament and across the country. She chose to divide. She chose to go with the harder Brexit minority in her own party. Now when she's trying to row back to the sensible Brexit position, no customs, no border checks. We believe staying in a customs union. We believe that very strongly. A participation in the single market, tackling all the issues, of keeping everything that works about Europe, about our participation in science, in our health sector, in the production of medicines. You know, we had evidence in the Select Committee, we could see a delay of getting new medicines in the UK of potentially up to 2 to 3 years if this doesn't go well for us. Now, why take this risk with people's health in the UK? These are the things they're not telling the country. So she chose to try and row back. Now you see the trouble she's in. Her Chequers agreement is called the Chequers disagreement. And that is, I think, a sad matter because we are so close to now needing to have a deal that they cannot agree amongst themselves, let alone have a deal that we agree as a country, let alone have a deal that agree with the European Union. The first thing they must do is have a Brexit that is led by jobs and the economy. And take the issues like controls over freedom of movement that caused the country so much anxiety, negotiate on those things. And I believe if you focus on those issues first and don't remove what is working well, we'll have a better outcome. It may or may not be her that can deliver that.
Acharya, Seemaji, you are a young member of parliament and you are working hard. And especially this is a Brexit time, very confusing and everybody's a bit scared about all those things. But I want to ask you a question. What are your achievements you have been proud of in the last year?
Well, the last year has been a very interesting time, as we've said, because the election changed so much in Parliament. And I've mentioned some of the areas where I've led in Parliament on the Brexit Select Committee. One other area I led was on the idea of the meaningful vote. You will hear this in the news a lot. And the meaningful vote is the right of Parliament to have an early say and then to be able to change or to call for change for the withdrawal agreement, the terms on which we legally leave the European Union. And it was my amendment in December that then went into the House of Lords, then was edited by a Conservative member of the House of Lords, led to a defeat of the government in the Lords, and then was adopted by the government in the Commons. And this has guaranteed that Parliament will have a vote on the deal that the government brings forward. This has been a big constitutional matter, and whilst the politics of it is right, that the Conservatives in the Lords had to win the majority in the Lords, this started with the work I was doing in December, where I built the coalitions between us in the front bench and our own committees, members of our own committee, and then with the Conservatives in Parliament. So these are constitutional big matters that I think, you know, I'm proud to have played a part. But for my constituency, I'm very proud for the work that we've been doing, particularly with young people, because young people are growing up with so much working against them. And we have started in the Hounslow's Promise project, where we make a promise to our young people in the community. Our mentoring scheme in our schools. We have started our master classes. We had Lord Neuberger, the former president of the Supreme Court, came and gave a talk to young people from 8 schools in my constituency. We now have the program for the next year. And in addition, I have just held the first political summer school, a 2-day summer school with our Hounslow Youth Council and young people as well in Heston. One day they had in the constituency, one day in Parliament with project work and with lessons and with Q&A with local councillors and with me as the Member of Parliament. So I'm very proud there's been 6 months of work to make that happen. So hopefully we'll make it even bigger next year. This is doing what I believe very strongly that we talked earlier. If you want to see decisions be better in politics, you need to increase voice of people in politics, voice of our minority communities, voice of women. It's a vote 100 years since women had the right to vote and the right to stand. Tomorrow I'm holding an event in Parliament for women from within our constituency as well on this topic. If you don't increase understanding you don't give the empowerment to have that voice. And that's why I believe the seeds I hope we have sown in the work we're doing with young people will bring them forward and make for them to engage with me and for me to raise their voices in Parliament.
Yeah. And
तो प्रिय दर्शकों, हम छोटी सी ब्रेक में जा रहे हैं. यूं गए और यूं आए, जाइएगा नहीं.
And like a mobile, we do things your way. With our new UK Plan Super, you can now enjoy 6 gigabytes of ultra-fast 4G data, unlimited UK minutes and texts, plus 100 international minutes to selected countries for the low price of just £15 for 30 days. Experience a faster world with our 4G network. Terms and conditions apply. To order your free SIM, visit likeamobile.co.uk today. Your data, your way. Like a mobile.
Air India, India's premier airline, carries forward its legacy of excellence. Air India soars to the #1 position in Heathrow's Fly Quiet and Green ranking. Its Dreamliner aircraft is almost as quiet on the outside as it is on the inside, with spacious legroom in economy, flat beds in business class, delicious cuisine and a wide range of entertainment. You are sure to reach your destination fresher and less jet-lagged. Air India is the only airline to fly direct from London to Ahmedabad and Birmingham to Amritsar. To fly the #1 quiet and green airline, contact your travel agent or visit airindia.in.
हेस्टन हाइड वेस्ट लंदन के सबसे शानदार होटल्स में से एक, with 303 air conditioned rooms and suites, one of the largest banquet spaces in London, meeting room for up to 1200 people, conferences, musical function, weddings या कोई भी गैदरिंग, मनपसंद भोजन, शानदार आयोजन और बेहतरीन वेन्यू, 400 गाड़ियों की पार्किंग के साथ. हेस्टन हाइड. फॉर बुकिंग्स कॉल 0208 572 1818.
Which free toy will you choose? Brian, or the all-new Miss Herbert, or Stunt Herbert? When you buy car, home or life insurance through Confused.com.
हजारों लोग हर रोज सुबह से रात तक कभी न कभी एमए टीवी जरूर देखते हैं. They might be your future customers, but you have to tell them about your products and services. Let's grow your business with MA TV. Advertise, promote and market your product and services on MA TV. Call MA TV Sales on 07970 337036 or 0208 795 0026.
UK इंडिया के रिलेशनशिप में challenges and opportunities.
प्रिय दर्शकों, छोटी सी ब्रेक के बाद we are continuing with the interview with our most important and respectful MP, Seema ji. So
Yes, I was about to ask you the question before interval. The question is regarding UK and India relationship after Brexit, and what challenges and opportunities you see to improve that relationship, and what situation is going to arise then. What are your views and what do you think about?
We have a very strong relationship, UK and India, and I think it has grown stronger and it has changed over the years. It's grown stronger because of the, I think, success of the Indian diaspora in many parts of British society and our unique history, I believe, and India now growing its economy, India being the world's largest democracy. These things are important in my view in how we have a partnership, a global partnership between East and West, where UK and India can be almost the axis for progress and I think positive values in our society. In my view, there's been a lot that is positive as a result of us being in the European Union. This is one of the challenges, because many of the Indian businesses who are investing in the UK, whether they are those that I've met through the Confederation of Indian Industry, I've held roundtables almost every year with them in Parliament. They have been attracted to the UK because of our link, our language, children coming and being educated, because we're so easy to trade with Europe.
Yeah.
So you have the benefits of being effectively one of 28 countries, like seamlessly. And if those barriers start to be there, maybe needing more visas, maybe harder to get workforce, maybe harder to get parts from the European Union for maybe products here, or sell goods from here into the European Union market of 500 million people. I hope that we find a way in which we are still attractive to Indian investors. There are many positive things. I think the UK-India Year of Culture that Baroness Usha Prussia and others took forward was very important because it recognized that our cultural base is a foundation for our economic partnership. Because if you enjoy being with each other, you respect history, culture, and all of these things. These are the finer sides of human living.
Yeah.
And I think we have to make the most of the seeds we have sown in the last few years, celebrating our cultural life together, building new links as the way we did with the City of London. I had meetings as well. How do we make the most of this and build these connections between the City of London and also Indian financial services? But I think we are going to have to work hard at this stage now to find the opportunities for increased trade. The government has identified life sciences, identified technology, food and drink. But I've also seen the benefits in our health sector. Some work by, for example, Professor Ram Dhillon's done some very interesting work, exporting, if you like, our expertise, helping deliver healthcare through technology, increasing the education of GPs there to be more advanced, fast training for postgraduate because they don't have the capacity in the same way, but through partnership with our medical universities here. So I think that is areas in which we have good opportunities and hopefully ways in which we can accelerate that, with the government now putting more attention into developing our links. But through what we do, we have to remember the purpose for which we do it. Now, India has a big challenge in jobs for young people. You know, the millions, 500 million young people that we'll have. Now, giving people opportunity not just for today, but the belief that they will build a strong future for themselves and their family. They want to keep and should keep the talent in India, but young talent is also leaving India to go to Australia, New Zealand, even America, Canada.
There's a brain drain.
So that brain drain, India wants to keep and should try and keep that with opportunities. So I think that how we work together on those opportunities, tackle the visa situation, this government has to change some of its policies, make sure that we keep our cultural links strong, and make sure that we nurture the diaspora relationships. I think those are some of the areas of our opportunity. In reality, our trade is less than 2% of our economy. It's not going to be a big change to go to 10%. Our distance is too great geographically.
Yeah.
But the strategic relationship, growing where we can, in the interest of our mutual development, that's where I think we have unique opportunity and I think unique responsibility.
What do you think the latest, commitment within the Commonwealth, the conference which we had in April, do you think it will enhance the image of India within the 53 countries more, as Prince Charles himself invited our Prime Minister Narendra Modi and the monarch gave him a dinner. What do you think? Will it enhance?
I hope so, and I believe it should, because this is another example of how we have had strong historical connection.
Yeah.
And the work I have done as well with some of the Commonwealth Future Leaders programs, and the work we had started as well before I became a Member of Parliament, setting up the work that was even supported by Prince Charles for the programs where young leaders come together. That's a good way, and through the Commonwealth, a strong way, where we say, how do we create a vision of a better, fairer world?
Yeah.
We have to think bigger than our own country for this.
Yeah.
And India and Britain both have good experience and credibility in thinking bigger for the growth and the positive of the world, not just our own countries. So we have to make sure we take that potential and we harness it, because nothing happens by itself.
No.
I think we can harness, and we must harness, and we must do that through government level, and we must do that through the links through our industry, and we must do that through having stronger ways in which our younger generations, young leaders, are coming together. The relationships they form in student days, in their 20s and 30s, they are really, I hope, the lawmakers of the future.
Yeah.
And also the industry leaders
Yeah.
of the future.
Yeah.
Investing in those soft relationships will create those opportunities for a much more positive future and the success ongoing of the Commonwealth.
You are quite sure?
I believe so. I do believe so. And I think the Commonwealth is going to be increasingly important for Britain to take really stronger leadership in the Commonwealth post-Brexit, because that's where we have that leadership. And we should shape positive change across the world, whether that is through human rights or it's through fairer working in our economy, employment rights, progress of women. We can use these levers for that change.
You use the word credibility. Do you think post-Brexit, India's credibility within the Committee of Commonwealth Nations, particularly in Britain and British society, will be something which will enhance trade and other things between the two countries?
India has had a strong vision for its own future. And that strong vision makes it attractive to build links with. It's clear where somebody's going on economy, on trade, on modernizing its nation, on bringing technology and education to the masses. These things are attractive, and that's why I think that India can play a big role. And I think through the Commonwealth, when I talk about the axis between Britain and India, which for the last 6 years while I've been in Parliament has been a driving force for my relationships with Indian business and politicians, this I hope will be realized, but it will take our effort as well.
You went to India as a member of parliament many times.
I've been a number of times, yes, through parliamentary visits and through visits as well to Punjab. And this has all been part of how do we understand how India is changing and how do we understand where there's greater partnership opportunity.
What do you feel? Did you go to India, before you either entered politics or after your youth?
I had been a few times, not so much when I was a child, but after I was at university. And India has always felt like a second home, or maybe even in many ways our first home, because I met so many from my family who I had not seen growing up. These historical links, these give us additional responsibility. We don't replace anything we have. I'm a Labour member of Parliament. I represent the area I grew up, the place I went to school, the place my mother taught, the place my father had his business.
Absolutely.
This is the world in which we live. But the role of diaspora communities, we have an additional responsibility. As part of Britain's place in the world, we have almost like a second cultural and historical language as well as real language.
Absolutely.
And these links with other Commonwealth countries and even countries outside of the Commonwealth. For a truly global Britain, our diaspora communities have that role. And I believe the government has to do much more to recognize and encourage that.
And what local campaigns you are doing at the moment in your constituency?
Locally, we are extremely active. I believe we have to work even harder with the austerity. We've seen cuts to our local government services, 40%, 60% cuts, cuts to our health service, delays that's caused. We have to work even harder. Mental health issues in young children. When did we grow up seeing this? I want to see us bringing more mindfulness, more things like yoga into the lives of young children, because that mindfulness in education, I think, will play a big part in giving peace of mind to young people growing up in a world that is so much more fraught with anxiety and with conflict. And this is some projects we've been looking at over the last 2 years as well. The work as well that I'm doing now to try and tackle loneliness in our communities. Now, loneliness I'm hearing from even our Asian communities. And older people, maybe their children are no longer living with them or don't see them enough or not interested in even in the welfare. We have extended families, but we know as well in our Asian community that our older relatives are sometimes not being looked after. We have to be honest about that.
Very true.
And also our well-being. So supporting today, I was at Indian Gymkhana.
They even don't go to old people home to see them.
This is true, and it's very sad. And the work even in Hounslow, for example, the multicultural centre, going out, giving food to even many in our community as well who are living alone, unable to cook for themselves. But even, for example, the Indian Gymkhana I was visiting today, since 2004, the yoga and the exercise classes, so many from our community going in, I believe I've seen the benefits of that, even for my own mother and our own family, and the community benefits that come from that. Now, these, alongside this, the education work we're doing with young people, working with our art centres as well, making sure we celebrate culture and history, making sure we have new ways in which we clean and green our streets. People should feel good about the place they live. So new groups supporting them, working with them, what can we do more, working with the council. But also after the Heathrow votes as well, making sure that we have a strong way in which we're having noise compensation, tackling pollution in our constituency. I want to see Heathrow bring its electrical vehicle infrastructure out into our community. If we can make it cheaper for people to have pollution-free vehicles, that will make our air cleaner. And that itself improves our health. But also supporting our small businesses. This is a work I'm doing with our Chamber of Commerce, Many of our small businesses are from our Asian community as well.
Yeah.
And they deserve the best chance of having more of the opportunities coming from Heathrow expansion in the future. So many things we are doing to improve our economic well-being and our social well-being. If we have those strategies working with government, I work with ministers across all of these areas, and working with our local council and with our communities, these are the ways in which we'll see benefits coming through.
Now, Seemaji, the question which I am going to ask you is about the labor policy. We have seen, the going out of this, our Ealing hospital. Lots of facilities are gone somewhere else. What is your policy towards the health? Number one. We have seen the police stations being sold out. There's no beat on the roads. First, they closed down the police station on the other side of the bridge. Now, on the Broadway side, what is your policy? Number three, very important, which is at the moment, the source of thought of every true Indian. What is tell me very frankly please, the Labour policy on 2020 referendum about Punjab? Are you in favor of the informal, the unofficial, referendum, which some of the people who are looking for money for them, for their own sake, they are trying to, create misunderstanding, wrong thinking amongst the people, unnecessarily creating situations which will harm. And in some way, it might harm the relationship between India and UK. What is your thought about it, thinking all these things, and your, party's internal policy?
We have had a very strong policy on the health service and on the investment that we need, on the need to increase our prevention through public health, where the budgets have been cut, and also the need to bring much more by way of mental health service support. So you will see the challenge that we have taken to the government. The government has been forced to increase its funding to the NHS.
Yeah.
But what we are seeing is that increase in funding is really only starting to tackle some of the issues they have created for themselves. This is not going to see the full investment, in my view, that we need, nor are we seeing public health getting any of the funding that it needs. Now, this public health is for children's dentist services, tackling obesity, making sure that there's the pre-work before people maybe get diabetes or other health problems. So these things are cost savers for the country and health savers for people. So on all of this, I think Labour has consistently said that the health service, as well as being important for its own right, you need people to be healthy, to be able to work, to be able to learn, to be able to live a good family life. So this 70th year has been an increased focus on the NHS. And that's why you will see this increasingly, that we will be campaigning for stronger investment in the NHS and holding the government to account. They will make one announcement, but the change doesn't really come. And that's why even on things like immigration and supporting nursing and doctors in the NHS, many have been caught in these visa issues, to even work. And even it was just very recently the government made some exemptions for the health service after so much pressure coming in. So these things cannot be taken for granted, and we've got to put the health service first. On India, I don't believe that there should be this kind of divisive politics. And I'm not in favour of a second referendum even in Scotland. Now, these are matters where trying to divide countries, I don't believe is the right way forward. That's my personal politics. And if a country is facing so many challenges, if I take an example here, because the Scottish are the nationalist party that we have in the UK.
Yeah.
If I take, I campaigned against independence there in Scotland. Division in a country doesn't set it along a path of progress.
Absolutely.
Yeah, true.
And we saw just last year as well the 70th anniversary of partition.
Yeah.
Or and the impact it had, the truth, the stories being told. Now, this way in which we're going through Brexit is one example of the uncertainty that can come, and how it does not work in the interests of our economy or our well-being or our community harmony. Our differences that we may have, we can solve in different ways. And that is my view with my own personal politics. On the issue as well of the third, you asked me 3 questions.
Police.
So, police, yes. So on the issue of police, I met this week with our new borough commander. And the police are going through huge change because of the cuts they've experienced. We have said again and again and again in Parliament, you cut the police, you will see a rise in crime, you will see it's harder to catch the criminals, you will see it's harder to build a case against the criminals and prosecute them. I've seen this in my own constituency. I had one case where the police said they were too busy to make the arrest. Now that may not be representative of all, but we know it's happening more than it did before. We know that as well the police are under huge strain. You see some drops in some crime, but the rise in violent crime. And why is that happening? Because of influence of drugs, influence of gangs, young people not having the role models they need, being drawn in to gang life as well. Now, when I met the police this week, we talked also about antisocial behaviour. Many of our neighbourhoods, if you don't have good harmony between neighbours, and you don't have the enforcement of that through the local council and the police working together, the quality of life is so negatively impacted. And I believe, and this is what we discussed, making sure that we have our safe communities, the police are where they're supposed to be, that the reforms start to work, that they have ways in which they're visible in our communities. If the police stations are closing, what alternative are they bringing forward? Where are they locating their offices so that still the public should be able to access them? These conversations we had this week, and it is only Labour that has a proper vision for community policing.
Shimali, we have got only 1 minute.
Yeah.
So
the last question, basically, what's your message to the next generation, especially women?
Next generation and women in this Vote 100 years. Politics is about all of our lives. It's about our rights. It's about our equality. It's about problems you have at the workplace. It's about how women set up their own businesses. There's some work I'm doing as well in Parliament. It's about how people have their voice. Don't let others speak for you. Learn about politics. Have the confidence to have your say. Take part in debate. Get trained. How do you do these things? Politics is an industry like any other industry, but it's one that affects all of our lives. And those skills can be learnt, and I wish everybody takes part in local and national debate. It will be in all of our interests and get much better decisions being made.
So, clear, Darshko, Seema ji is our true role model so far as women empowerment is concerned, so far as politics of this country is concerned, and we are thankful to you for your very frank, free answers to our some typical questions which might you don't like. But what can we do?
As a politician, I love every question.
So thank you so much.
Thank you.
And all the answers were very frank. We like that.
Well, thank you to you and to all your viewers.
So
It's a pleasure to join you.
we would invite you whenever you feel time, sometime before election. Most welcome. So प्रिय दर्शकों, आज का कार्यक्रम यही समाप्त होता है। अगले सप्ताह फिर किसी नए मुद्दे के साथ आपके सामने आएंगे और तब तक के लिए आज्ञा दीजिए।
And like a mobile, we do things your way. With our new UK Plan Super, you can now enjoy 6 gigabytes of ultra-fast 4G data, unlimited UK